infinity.
Hello there everyone, how's it going? So this is brought to you by Studio Infinity and this is Success Stories with me, myself, Jananga. And today in our episode, we are going to feature one of your favorite movie characters, Mr. P.T. Barnum from the movie The Greatest Showman. Wait, this is a real story and this indeed is going to be the greatest show. Phineas Taylor Barnum, a tough man but sensitive to criticism, an exploiter of human beings for profit, yet a private and a decent man compared to his contemporaries. It all boosted up with the New York Museum, which Barnum bought in 1841 and converted it to an amusement park, art gallery, theatre and a zoo, all packed in one single 5-story building. And Barnum says, I do not believe that there was ever a more truly popular place of amusement. He decorated buildings with huge posters of wild animals, and Barnum hypothesized strangers come and look at the posters outside and argues what's inside, and in they would go. It was always too much to see in there, and people were given the riddle of deciding what was real and what was fake, and his numerous exhibits included a complete mastodon skeleton, two-headed calf, an authentic mummy, which was the first to be ever displayed in America, some common rocks and a honeycomb. Guessing was always the fun part. He also encountered practical jokes to his promotions. In one of his earlier promotions had the wording "man eating chicken," which turned out to be just a man eating chicken for his meal. And he's justified his promotions by saying persons who pay their money at the door have a right to form their own opinions. Barnum was always the promoter of the abnormal and change. He hosted an annual baby contest, giving prizes for the babies who were the cutest and the fattest. Barnum, born in Bethel, Connecticut, was raised in a family of storekeepers where he mastered the art of sharp trading, tricks, dishonesty, and deception. In his birth, Barnum was given a gift by his grandfather called an Ivy Island of real estate, which turned out to be a family joke. After 12 years of knowing this gift, Barnum realized that this gift was nothing more than a 12 acres of land of mud and swamp. And he says, I had been made a fool for more than half a dozen of years. And this episode shaped him. It made practical jokes and instinct where he used for his promotions. And we have his series of humbugs, the fake exhibits. The first one, Joyce Heath, which was said to be a 161-years old lady who used to be nursing baby George Washington. But later on, an autopsy revealed that Joyce was barely 80 years old. And the second humbug was the Fiji mermaid, which was said to be the remainings of a mermaid. Again, it revealed to be a dead body sewn to the back half of a fish. After all these series of revelations, Barnum himself started to call him the Prince of Humbugs. But he never sold any of these items as bona fide exhibits. He always invited skepticism. The mermaid and other humbugs were used as skyrockets to attract the people, give a vibe of notoriousness to the museum. Not very moral, but genius indeed. And he says, I don't believe I am deceiving people. It's just attracting them and pleasing them. Listening to these words, you might think, how wrong can a man could be while doing things that he judges to be right? Well, if that's the case, you might also compel to justify the behavior of a certain infamous German man who brought chaos to the world in the 1900s. Moving on. After all those early humbugs, Barnum made his most praised act of all time, Charles Stratton, a 4-year-old boy who has not grown ever since he was 6 months old. Barnum took a great courage to train the small boy. He says, "I took great pains to train my diminutive prodigy, devoting many hours for that purpose, by day and night." And Barnum gave life to his famous act, Tom Thumb, through the person Charles Stratton. Tom Thumb went on to become the famous midget of all time, viewed more than any actor in the century. Barnum then decided to conquer Europe with his work, change the style of presentation to suit the European crowd, and chose the royal family of England as the first community to pitch. Queen Victoria fancied the act of Little Tom Thumb, which led for the act to be infamous in the lands of England, and Barnum developed more strategies to promote the act. He even made a small carriage dedicated to Tom Thumb so that he would be carried in it when he was touring the cities. Barnum's success rate was rising higher and higher. At the time, a good salary was said to be $200 a year, but Barnum made $500 a day simply using his act Tom Thumb. After months of touring and heavy drinking, Barnum grew insensitive and careless. Once he even left his wife Charity to faint on a bridge, where later some strange men would take her home to Barnum. He realized that he was running into the darkness. His habit of heavy drinking was running deep. Once he descended to his wine cellars and emptied the content from all the wine bottles into the lawn. He gave up alcohol and made all of his establishments alcohol-free. And the wise man says, "My message is simple. The man who commences drinking is the last person in the world to discover his danger." Yet, he was selfish. Regardless of how impressive and dazzling his acts were, Barnum always made him the center of attraction in his circuses. "I don't always travel with a show, but I'm looked for more than any other liar." No matter how impressive the acts were, it was always Barnum's circus. After having a high energetic career in the end of 1880s, for the first time Barnum admitted that he was tired, hired a secretary to relieve him from the thinking and work. Later on, he was finding himself suffering from an obstruction in the intestines, dropped his weight 71 pounds within only 3 weeks. He was expected to die, but his incredible will to live won the battle. He recovered, but the disease made him look older. And now Barnum started to worry about little things, started to write letters for his friends, made peace with his old enemies, spent time with his wife Nancy at the seashore, and says, "I don't worry about business and never shall do so again." Started to age and become a grandfather and being loved by everyone. Became more gentler, softer, and a thoughtful person. Bridgeport, Connecticut was proud of their infamous citizen P.T. Barnum. In 1875, they even elected him as the mayor of the city. At the end of his career, Barnum himself became an attraction, an American icon. Become much more of history, innovation, and change, he wanted to be a part of the future. Recorded his voice on an Edison wax cylinder, which to this date preserves the actual voice of P.T. Barnum. Even now, you can hear him say, "I thus address the world through the medium of the latest wonderful invention, Edison's phonograph, so that my voice, like my great show, will reach future generations and be heard centuries after." 5th of April 1891, Barnum was lying in a small bed, sided by his wife Nancy. And Barnum whispers, "I want you with me every moment of the little time that is left." And after 2 days, 7th of April, the greatest showman of the century left the world. A selfish but a creative genius, the greatest promoter to ever walk this earth. The morality of his work was highly controversial, yet brilliance exceeding the standards of the world. This was the success story of the greatest showman, P.T. Barnum. It's everything you ever want, it's everything you ever need, and it's here right in front of you, and this is where you wanna be. Not the best singer, but our channel is colored in all the colored lights, and Studio Infinity is bringing you quality and creative content. There we go. Subscribe us, hit the bell icon, leave a like and a comment. Support us, and as usual, till we meet again, stay cool.
Studio Infinity.